and then you're told, Tosin, I'm pregnant. How did you feel?
To say the least, it felt like the everything just came crashing down. It wasn't planned. For me to say it was planned and I was okay with it and I was happy with it would be, not a lie, but would be a very exaggerated truth. I think it made everything just tense because, like we said, we're kids at this moment in time, not knowing what's going on. We don't even know whether we want to be together forever. The fact that you now have to ask someone else to help you out, and then in that situation, you could get hit with, it's not my problem. I don't think nothing hurts more than when someone reiterates that you alone have brought this situation upon you.
Hello everyone and welcome to another installment of Figuring Out Fatherhood. This is season 2, episode 4. I'm excited to have made it this far even. But here I'm with Dad, Tosin. Tosin, please tell us a bit about yourself.
I currently work in a secondary school as a Learning Support Assistant. I've got a daughter who's currently 8 years old and I had her when I was 19.
19?
Yeah, so you can do the maths on that one.
19. You know what? Previously what I've done is I would ask her dad to come on the show and talk to us about a specific topic in their fatherhood journey, right? But I want to switch up a little bit. I want you to talk us through your entire journey from literally the beginning, and your daughter's mom you met, up until present day. Take us through the entire journey. So let's start with pre-pregnancy and pregnancy. Talk us through that. How was that?
So I met my daughter's mum in secondary school, so we were in the same class. So we met around, I've known her from when I was about 11, but we didn't get together till about 15, 16. And then we was together for about three and a half years. And our daughter came towards the end of that. So 18 was when she was conceived, and obviously she was born by the time I was 19.
Doing the maths, where were you 18, 19? Were you at uni, college?
No, I just finished college.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I know I didn't want to go to uni. Yeah.
Okay, so my question for you at that point is, now you were 18-year-old, right? You knew you didn't want to go uni, you just finished college. You have the world at your feet at that point. And then you're told, Tosin, I'm pregnant. How did you feel?
To say the least, it felt like the everything just came crashing down in the sense of not knowing where I'm going to go. So now I've got to lead someone else behind me. And so it's just having the pressures of having to deal with everything at once. But at the same time, it was also motivation to get me going, to get started and actually put a plan in place of, in 9 months' time, someone else is going to be here. So I know within this 9 months, I got to secure a job, be financially able to provide, and then also just make sure I have some sense of direction of where I'm going.
That's cool. It's very mature and very, it's a very correct answer. But as an 18-year-old, I don't know about you, but me personally, I think back to myself at 18 and I can't imagine what it was like if someone said to me, I'm pregnant, because I potentially would not want that in that moment.
I would say it wasn't planned. For me to say it was planned and I was okay with it and I was happy with it would be, not a lie, but would be a very exaggerated truth. So what I would say was it was very scary. But the one thing I can say is I knew that I would be supported by my mum. I knew that I had the support system behind me to actually keep me going and motivate me. And I also had faith in God.
I love that.
So that's one thing that I've always had, that no matter what, God's got me. And it's like God doesn't give you struggles unless he knows that you can go through it.
Okay. And how did that impact your relationship back then with your child's mum?
I think it made everything just tense because, like we said, we're kids at this moment in time, not knowing what's going on. We don't even know whether we want to be together forever. So let alone now having to deal with a kid. It was a case of, okay, so what are we actually doing here? So we had our daughter, and then, yeah, the relationship kind of hit the rocks because it showed us that, okay, what we thought was solid before, now that we've actually got a test and we're being tested, it's not actually so solid.
Okay.
So we had to come to the mutual agreement to let's put our relationships aside and we've got to focus on the bigger picture of actually trying to co-parent and raise our daughter up.
Okay, so we've spoken about pre-pregnancy, now talk to us about the pregnancy itself. The 9 months, you
Yeah.
mentioned that you were putting things in place to ensure that there's a future for you, your child, and your child's mum, right?
Yeah.
What were the things you did? Like, you applied for jobs?
Yeah, so I managed to, so I got an apprenticeship doing accounting and finance.
Okay.
So that was I love numbers, so that's my passion. So I pursued that because uni for me now wasn't an option. It never was. But now that I've got a kid on the way, the thought of having to literally living away while my daughter's mum would have to go through this, it didn't sit right with me. So it felt for me that option is no longer valid. So I have no choice but to stay here. So now it's a case of trying to find the best avenue for me to make sure I'm here for my child.
Okay, you mentioned that your mum was supportive of the fact that you have a child at 19. How did that make you feel when that she supported you? Like, were you happy? Were you surprised? Were you? How did you feel?
I feel like the story, I won't forget the first day that man actually told her. So I've got the news, I've come home. I didn't tell her straight away. I think she was maybe about 4 or 5 months pregnant. Okay. So she's pregnant for a while. So now I've come home nervous. I entered the kitchen. I couldn't even say the words. I had to type it on my phone.
And just show it to her.
Yeah. I told her. Remember, you have to remember, I'm 19.
19, yeah.
So because you have to remember, having a kid that young is not something that gets celebrated. It's it's looked at negatively. So having to deal with the connotations, even if you try to be positive and you're there and no matter when, like throughout my life, whenever I've said I've got a kid that's 8, they always do the maths. How old are you? And they go, wow, you had her when you was 19. You're very young. And it's never celebrated. Even to the point where when I was in the workplace, I had started working by the time that she came to be born. So obviously I put in paternity leave. Everyone's looking at me weird, like, paternity? You're young. What do you mean paternity? And it wasn't a case of, oh, congratulations, none of that. It was a case of, oh, you've got a kid, stay away from you. Clearly you don't know how to do things correctly. Yeah. So just seeing that in people has an impact on you. Because
how does that make you feel?
It makes you feel like you've done something wrong and you haven't led the correct path or done things correctly, even though you know you're trying your best. So it hurts, like to just see,
Now the thing is, now that you mentioned that, I hope that the viewers and people around, whoever hears this message, that they understand the importance of making sure people don't feel like they've done something wrong. Because what 19-year-olds to feel like they've done something wrong, like they already have what feels to them. And that moment, like the weight of the world on their chest, their shoulders, and now you're not adding to that by making them feel like they've broken the law. Meanwhile, they haven't done anything wrong. They're bringing the child to this life. I mean, it may not be ideal for you, but that's their situation. So thanks for sharing that, man. And cool. So building on from that, so post-pregnancy, you're saying that attorney, you felt supported by your mum, friendships, who were you able to talk to in those moments?
In them moments there, I found it very difficult to even tell my friends. I don't think I told anyone till it was maybe post 6 months, like further on in the pregnancy.
Why is that?
Just of the negative connotation behind it, of just, oh, bro, you messed up. Oh, bro, your life's ruined. Oh, what are you gonna do now? You're stuck. So just not wanting to feel bombarded by those negative comments and just keep a positive outlook on the situation is why you kind of just not shut down, but you kind of just withdraw and keep it within and just kind of I got to process this. I got to get through this by myself because no one else around you is going through that. Because in school, you learn everything to do to avoid that. They don't really tell you what to do if you end up in the situation.
Facts.
So when you do find yourself in a situation, who do you turn to? Because young women, there's lots of support. There's charities, but for fathers, it's pretty much figure it out. You're by yourself. But like literally, it's a case of you get thrown into it. And for the way I see it is like, as soon as it's a woman's natural prerogative or maternal instinct comes when as soon as they get pregnant, it switches on. For men, we don't have that. We have to consciously switch it on and be like, okay, I'm a dad now. I got to step up. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I feel like if you don't have no one to support or go and talk to, especially if, let's say you don't have a father, when growing up, your childhood, your father wasn't always present, or you don't have the best relationship, who do you actually turn to? And that's, you turn to yourself, you look within, and you just kind of just stay,
There's something you mentioned here, you didn't want to feel bombarded by your friends, by them. The connotation, like you mentioned, right? Do you feel like that's something that we need to change amongst ourselves as men? Or would you attribute to our age at that point in time?
I feel like it's age. It's age. Where you're young, everyone, all your friends around you, their things, their struggles and problems are completely different. They're thinking about, what course am I going to do at uni? Am I going to live on campus or at home? What am I studying? Or what am I going to work? Or what car do I want to get as my first car? And all these other things. They're not asking, what brand of nappies are the best? What bottles or what's the best kind of milk? So who do you actually go to talk to find that information out? And the thing is, you gotta find that, figure it out yourself.
No, it's important. The reason why I ask is because obviously, like, we see in society also, people seem to think that men, we can't talk to each other about these certain things, right? And I do agree to some extent, but it's also important to note that as a 19-year-old, personally, I prefer my friends not to say anything. If I'm not to say anything, because I can only imagine what they could say to someone who's having a child at 19. Like, I don't think the bulk of it would be productive.
No.
That's just my
personally, if we wanted to figure out what could be productive, nothing. What if we were to sit here and actually try and think what could be 19, you've told your boys, I've got a kid on the way. The first thing they're saying is,
is that you?
Well, you got trapped. And that.
I don't want to hear that.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's not a trap. But it's like, if people are seeing it as a trap, you're going to automatically feel stuck. You see what I'm saying? No pun intended. But but you get what I mean?
It's facts.
Ultimately. And then once you feel stuck, how do you get yourself out of that place? And if you don't have no one to help you.
Okay, so we're talking about post-pregnancy. So you said you and your daughter's mum, you split up shortly afterwards, right? Just to make sure my timeline is correct. How were you able to navigate this breakup and still be actively present in your child's life? And to navigate your feelings as well, because a breakup is not easy on anyone. You're going through it and trying to raise a child as well. Like, how were you able to navigate all those different pieces?
I feel like at first it wasn't easy to navigate around, because obviously you can break up, but obviously it doesn't mean that the feelings instantly go. So therefore, it now creates a confusing environment. So I feel like the main reason was we just had to really think it's not about our feelings no more. It's about what's best for our child. And us arguing and fighting and having these little things that don't benefit the child, it's pointless, because you got to put once you have a kid, they become priority, and your feelings, as much as you don't like it, fall on the back burner, and it's literally what's best for the kid.
How were you able to heal in that time?
Probably still healing now.
I respect it.
Probably still healing, because I don't think you ever stop healing. I think you just continue to learn and heal bit by bit.
Okay, so we're speaking about the breakup. What have you had to change in your life since then to accommodate the fact that now you have a child? So was it, when I say change, what have you had to do to make sure you spend enough time with your time? Shall I say?
I feel like you gotta not be selfish. That's the main thing. And you kind of gotta drop your pride a little bit, and just kind of in the aspect of asking for help and asking for support, or asking questions when you don't really know what to do. And I feel like just, if you have the right people around you, that's kind of all you need to just keep you going. Even if you only have one person. For me, it was my mum. And I had a few people around me at that time who were supportive. And because of their support is why I feel like everything's just kind of just worked out for the best. I feel like the main thing you got to do, especially being that young, is having to say no when your friends call you to come out. or not having the freedom to even come out. Because you could be able to come out, but the fact that you now have to ask someone else to help you out, and then in that situation, you could get hit with, it's not my problem. I don't think nothing hurts more than when someone reiterates that you alone have brought this situation upon you.
Especially after you dropped whatever little pride you had left
to ask in the first place.
Yeah,
then get hit with that, it's like, I knew I shouldn't have asked.
Yeah.
And then you just withdraw. You just don't ask. You just stay to yourself, and it's not beneficial.
The first time you asked for help, how does that make you feel? Did you feel like, to put it, this is going to sound worse than it is, but the first time you asked for help, did you feel like less of a man, and the fact that you had to ask someone to help you?
No, I didn't, actually. No, I didn't, because at that point, I'm young, so I felt like a boy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? A boy with a man's responsibility.
So you embraced it, that I'm a boy.
No, not that
I respect it.
The thing is, there's you have to, because to think that you're a man and you know what you're doing would be detrimental.
Yes.
So I had to embrace that. No, I'm a boy. I'm actually young. I should be doing other things. So now I've got this man role and this being a father figure. Especially because when you grow up in I don't want to say it's limited to African household, but generally speaking, it's like the dads are always out there providing. So, and you not present, but the providing comes above the being present. As long as there's food on the table, you got somewhere to live, you got clothes on your back, the father's doing what he needs to be doing. Even though the kid might just want to hug, might just want some affection from his father to show the ropes, or just a bit of advice, someone of a man to get manly advice.
Yeah, no, that's fact.
Yeah. So it's like when you don't have that, or when you grow up without that, or lacking that, it's like when you then get thrown into deep end to be a father, it's confusion, because it's either you're gonna reenact what you went through as a kid and what your father did, but you don't know whether that was correct. Because being just providing and not being present in this day and age doesn't really cut it. It's kind of, you just got to find the balance of both. And that's the struggle, because you're always trying to find the balance.
Have you been able to find that balance between spending enough time with your daughter and grinding, I guess? How have you been able to make it work?
I feel like it will always be a juggling act, but you just switch what you're juggling. Okay. In the sense of, sometimes you got to put the grind on the back burner to be present. So for example, in the earlier years of her life, I made sure that I was making as much time as possible, and I was literally allowing no time for myself. So just working Monday to Friday, and then having it on the weekend, Friday evening to Sunday evening. And that was for about first 3, 4, 5 years, to make sure that I was there. But then at the same time, you then have the struggles of having to be able to financially provide. Unless you have a kid, you don't actually know how expensive kids are. As in, to be able to grind, you have to pay for nursery for your kid to go to allow you. And nursery fees are not cheap.
You ain't gonna tell me twice.
They're not cheap at all. So imagine you're not grinding, trying to be present, but at the same time, you have to pay for nursery fees. So what do? You then have to stop being present and start grinding. But then with that comes with, you might hear from people saying you're not present enough, or there's more you could be doing. But these times, you know you're doing as much as you can, and you're just trying to juggle everything. And usually, when you're a father and you're not with the parent, so with that partner and you're co-parenting, it's like, in a certain way, you have to be the mum and dad when you when you're looking after your child.
You got time stress when she's with
you. Yeah. So, but whereas if you was together, you're able to just be the dad and just go out there and provide, because you're going to be coming home to your kid. So it's not that much of a balance or a struggle to keep up that. But when you're not, is when you really feel the effects of it.
Okay. So at this point, my next question for you is, how are we able to see this co-parenting? How are you able to do it? How are you able to, I guess, what tips would you give in regards to co-parenting? Like, what would you advise someone else to do in establishing that relationship? Especially considering how young you were at the time as well.
I would say in the early years, it's a very grey area. If you
Okay, I always hear this.
yeah. So it's like you might be broken up, but you are very comfortable and familiar with the person.
Okay.
So if you continue being familiar,
okay. I respect it.
If you continue being familiar, it kind of clouds the overall what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. So I feel like the one thing I would say is set very clear boundaries and respect those boundaries and put the kid first.
Yes.
And I feel like once you reach that stage, that's when things start to become easier.
Yeah.
You have to get unfamiliar with the familiar.
What?
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And that's what it is.
Yeah.
You have to, that's it. You have to stop being comfortable and just be in the uncomfortable area of just being a parent and co-parent and not trying to find comfort in what you used to know, because that's not what you're trying to be in. So you just got to focus on the kids first and make the kid a priority. And if in every encounter or conversation or decision the kid is the priority, then you always know you're doing what's best for the kid. And that's it. That's all that can be asked for you.
Yeah. Finances, how are you able to navigate that? The finances.
I feel like with finance, I've always been very good with money, like just managing, because I'm not into the materialistic things, so I'm not spending money on drip, as they like to call it now, or going out having lavish nights. So the way I was raised was, obviously I wasn't raised with the richest kind of parents or the richest kind of childhood. So I've always seen, okay, money is something you need to have because you never know what could go wrong. So I'm always saving for a rainy day. Even though the rainy day might not come, in the back of my head is, you can't spend because there might be a rainy day. So what happens when you can't? And when you've got a kid, that rainy day is rainier. For lack of a it's rainier. So it's like, you have to be very militant with your finances and sacrifice a lot to the literally.
I guess when I say navigating, when I sort of mean when she's come to you like, Tosin, you know what, I need this amount of money. How was that for you? How did you feel? Were you able to just like, you know what, you need it? Here you go, have it. Or
I feel like, once again, during she was pregnant is when obviously you have 9 months where there's no baby. So in those 9 months, you grind as hard as you can, you make as much as you can, and you just save for when the days that money is requested. You've already got a baby fund, if you want to call it that. So you just go to that, and as you're working and still you're topping it up. So you always know. It's like you always have expenses. You know every month your phone bill, let's say rent, car, stuff like that. So, but the thing with, once you have a child, your child beats all of that. So I might not pay my phone bill to provide for my daughter, but that's on me. So I feel like it's just having the ability to move money around to where money needs to be in that moment.
So money was straightforward for you guys to agree on?
Yes.
I respect it. No.
Yes, because
I'm telling the truth.
No. The reason why I say it was straightforward is because I never shied away from that responsibility.
Okay.
So I was never a case of, if she would come to me and ask for money, I'm not saying what you need it for. Yeah. I'm not saying no, that's too much. I'm saying I gotta go get this money because that's for my daughter.
Do you think? Because that's a very, compared to a lot of dads that I've spoken to, that's a very different approach that they've taken. But now I think back to the fact that you've known her since you were 11. So you knew her character, you knew her through and through, to some degree anyway. Yeah. So you knew that if she was asking for money, it wasn't for her to go just
splash up. No.
Yeah. So you knew.
Yes.
You had that.
So that's the thing. When you actually, the thing is, my daughter, even though I had her young, it wasn't how can I put it? A one-night thrill, or with someone who I'd only known for 2 weeks. This is someone I was seeing day in, day out for the last 4, 5, 6 years. So they know me, I know them. I was also around the family. They knew who I was before the daughter was even present, and we were together in a relationship for 3 years. So I feel like in that time, they kind of know who they're having the kid with. And so in that kind of, it just makes certain things a bit easier, such as the money thing, because I will know, okay, she ain't about to take my P's and go out with her friends and all of that. So I feel like in that, you got to be very, not very careful, but very aware of who you potentially may have a kid with, and know that their character is important.
A lot of men get blindsided by blindsided by the woman's character, and that a lot of men don't take accountability for that. But really and truly, to some degree, it's because of the fact that they haven't got to know their child's mum before they're fornicating and making babies. Yeah, and it's easier said than done because these things do happen. But if you don't take time to get to know someone's character, you're always going to be asking, why do you need it? Why do you need so much money? Why do you need it? Does that make sense? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's quite good that you're able to navigate that so easily. Yeah.
And I feel like with most of the money that she might ask for, more time we're going together to spend that money.
Okay.
As in, she might say, I need X, let's say £200-300 for a buggy. We're gonna go buggy shopping together.
Yeah.
She's just letting me know it could be this much. So I make sure the funds are available for if it is. But more time we're doing things correctly because it's our first time. We know that we don't know what can happen. So we're not trying to overspend, but the budget is there to be spent.
I respect that, man. I like that for you guys. And now, how are things with you, your daughter's mom? I
feel like right now, I couldn't ask for it to be any better.
I love that.
But what it took to get there wasn't an easy journey. In the sense of just navigating the right things to do where she's the daughter of your mum, and also where, not saying you don't owe her nothing, but when you're your own man yourself. So just having that certain level of respect because she is the mother of your child. So you do kind of owe her something to some kind of degree, and just having to be okay with that and know that it's not a personal attack on yourself as a man. And you just got to kind of just drop the pride and just, once again, that's the thing. Once again, you just got to remember the kid is the priority and the kid is the focus. And anything that she may be doing or asking is so that the kid has a better environment to grow up in. Because it's not the best environment if the parents are bickering.
Yes.
Or they're not able to talk to each other to let's say, sort out something for the child. Let's say whether it be a birthday party or Christmas or anything like that. Just because at the end of the day, it's going to impact the child negatively and not the adults.
Okay, I'm just starting to wrap up. You meet 19-year-old you, not a care in the world, all this stuff. He just found out he's got someone pregnant.
I was 18 when I found out, so 18-year-old.
18-year-olds. Wow. It still blows me when you talk about it. You just met 18-year-old self. Just found out he's got his girlfriend pregnant. What are you going to say to him at that point in time?
Buckle up, is going to be a tough ride.
No, it's facts.
Literally.
Yeah.
And don't embrace the journey. Be willing to learn. Be open-minded. And just make sure you have support around you. And just feel like, even if it's only one person you can talk to, I would say talk. Because I didn't start talking until as I got older. And I just kind of kept everything in. And keeping everything in can make you react to situations negatively, even though it's not a negative situation. So I feel like you just got to be patient. That's what I would say. Be patient.
Before we actually wrap up, you said you didn't talk to someone until you were older. The first time you spoke to someone about how you were feeling or your journey thus far, how did you feel?
Weak. Because men, do you know what it is? As a man, we're expected to just... as much as they say they want men to talk about their feelings, when men actually start to talk about their feelings, people don't want to hear it. Because the way men feel, no one can relate but men. So talking to a woman about the way you're feeling as a man is absolute it comes across as gibberish, or it's ludicrous that you could actually think like this. But you speak to another man, they'll be like, oh, I feel the exact same way. Oh, is that all you feel? I even feel worse than that. Bro. So it's just knowing that it's okay to have feelings, and it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to not always be sure of what you're doing, and it's okay to be confused and unsure and a bit wobbly. Yeah.
You know what? I only ask because, like you rightfully said, you were full weak in that moment. But what I find is, this is not my personal experience, but it's just other men that I've spoken to. They've been encouraged by women to speak on how they feel, speak on how they feel, all this stuff. And there's an element of, raw, I didn't know you felt like that. Or, raw, like, I didn't know you felt these things. And it's just like, sometimes, even just the initial shock, the initial reaction, or it may not even be conscious or it's subconscious, but it makes the man not want to speak anymore.
Yeah, especially if when you do have that vulnerable moment and you do kind of speak about how you feel, and then let's say further on you have an argument, and that stuff gets chucked back in your face.
Wow.
That's when now you start to build up the resentment and the anger and the fact that you feel you've been played, and then that will now just force you to just shut down and close off and be like, this is exactly why I didn't want to speak in the first place. But it's like, there's nothing wrong with feeling like that, and sometimes you just gotta embrace it. And you are not at fault for talking about how you feel. And that's it.
That's facts. And this is not to say, men, you shouldn't speak to your partners about how you're feeling, but speak to other men about it as well. You know, it's important that we talk. This is why I'm so big on us, on the community, and having people that we can talk to. Like, I hope that people watch this and know they can just reach out to me or anyone who's been on the show. Just let them know that you just want to talk, you know, because with women, we do want to speak, but we will have our reservations. You always know, right? It's just
natural. It's just natural, literally.
So, speaking to a man is important. Like, I still remember the first time I spoke to my male friend at my house. I think I was having money worries or something. And when I finally got all off my chest,
felt lighter.
Bro, I felt like I didn't even need to worry about what I was worrying about.
The thing is, you're probably worrying about how the other person will respond. Yes. But the fact is, the person doesn't respond like that. And then when you voice how you thought they would respond, they're even offended. That, hold on, you thought I would respond like that, knowing you're my boy, you're my... Yeah. And it's until you actually have the conversations, you won't realize that what you're worrying about is nothing at all.
It's none of that's nothing. It's just how we all go through it as a collective.
But we don't know because we don't speak.
But Tosin, I appreciate you. I know I've forced you to come out of your shell to come on camera today.
Yeah, that's why I haven't looked at the camera too much. I appreciate it, man.
My bro, you did an amazing job. Thank you. That's it, bro.